on our various social media platforms, such as Prime TV, Diamond TV, City TV, and we also have from our aligned media, CIC, Wagon, Open Development, the agency, to mention but a few. Would like to thank you, our colleagues, for the continued partnership you have given to us in disseminating information from our briefings. Without wasting much of our time, I would like to call upon Media Director, Mr. Max Moore, who's going to introduce our special guest this morning and give his opening remarks. Sir, I wish to call upon you, sir.
Thank you very much, Mr. Chileshe, and thank you, friends, for coming. I've seen a number of social media platforms coming through. We have CIC, which we need to acknowledge. We have Wagon, Development Agency, CIC, this is Muvombo. Then we have Kalemba, which obviously demonstrates to us the growing, of the evolved media in the country, in addition to the mainstream media. It's a positive. So we also have Central Voice TV, as emphasized by my colleague, Diamond TV, Prime TV, and Movie TV, who are going to carry this particular press alive. Today, we have a privilege of introducing to you a member of parliament for Zambezi East. Those of you who do not know where this place is, it's in northwestern province of Zambia. Honorable Brian Kambiata, who is going to take us through the activities taking place in that part of the country. As a matter of fact, friends, we did mention last time that we shall continue engaging members of the public in a constructive discourse which bring to the fore activities being undertaken by the new Dawn administration. And we have deliberately ignored the path of politicking at the expense of the people of Zambia by going for issue-based conversations. And this is why we've opted to take this narrative. And at this point, I want to call upon Honorable Brian Kambiata. It is your floor to address members of the press.
Thank you very much, Director Media, Mr. Max Moore, members of the press. I greet you all. My name is Brian Kambiata, as you have heard. I'm Member of Parliament for Zambezi East constituency in Northwestern Province. At Parliament, I'm also a member of the Public Accounts Committee, an immediate past chairperson of one of the accountability committees, the Committee on Parastatal Bodies. I've been in Parliament since 2016. Of course, that means that I am serving my second term in this term, which is almost coming to an end. So I have quite some experience in that house. Of course, that is the little about me. Today's engagement with the media will focus on UPND's performance in the past 4 years. And I will marry it with the performance of the UPND and extend it to the leadership of President Hakainde Hichilema, who is at the helm of leading this country, including policy direction. And then I'll zero it at the constituency level, which is more relevant and, of course, my area of jurisdiction, since that's the area where I participate in terms of national development. I will also touch base on my role as a parliamentarian in terms of formulating the laws that fine-tune the activities of the country. And I think that will be the organized way in which I want to engage with you. So from that introduction, I would like to straight away go into the detail or the discourse of what I've prepared for the media today. Members of the press, indeed, the UPND came into power in 2021, and I know you have taken judicial notice that the UPND has actually been in governance for the period of 4 years now. And how are we rating the UPND? Doomsayers out there would come up with blanket statements of the performance based on maybe a challenge in one sector or the other, maybe caused by a force majeure or any other factors that affect the nation or the economy. I would like to rate UPND's performance as remarkable in that they have been very consistent with their campaign promises and also very consistent with the rule of law, including fine-tuning our laws to ensure that we achieve what we had actually targeted for ourselves. When you look at the leadership of President Hakainde Hichilema, you would only understand it if you connect what happens in Parliament with what is happening in reality. We all speak about the debt trap and how that the debt trap affected all of us in terms of the performance of this economy. But we have not taken note of the measures that were put in place. I remember yesterday, I was just trying to browse through my Facebook page where I found a question that I asked in the previous parliament to the Honour the Vice President then, Inonge Wina, on when the government was going to bring a bill to Parliament so that Parliament can regulate national debt. She couldn't give me a clear-cut answer. She just referred me to the Minister of Finance, who at an appropriate time come to Parliament to bring that bill. But I would like to tell you that in this tenure, for the past 4 years, President Hakainde Hichilema has been magnanimous enough to ensure that the bill, the public debt management bill was brought in and enacted into law, meaning that you as citizens now, through your house of elected members, can regulate the procurement of debt. It is not a blank check anymore, and that's how governance should be. I have mentioned this because this has had an effect on our performance. You should be alive to the fact that the physical space shrunk because we were debt trapped. And efforts were made, and there's been debate everywhere on how we could come out of this debt trap. And the only solution that was at our disposal was to ensure that we actually had to revisit the whole debt stock. And that is how it was restructured. And you've heard about restructuring, debt restructuring. And some of you simply just hear these terms as they are and not knowing where this is coming from. It is coming from such a background that we needed to restructure the debt so that we have breathing space for you to really understand the kind of leadership that President Hakainde Hichilema is providing to this country. Now, talking about the macroeconomic decisions that were made, I've already alluded to the Public Debt Management Act, which now regulates debt. We do not want to go back into the same trap that our colleagues took the whole country into. That's why we passed this law, and now debt is managed in that order. Apart from that, there is what we call as budget credibility. Whenever we appropriate funds in Parliament, the UPND government has been magnanimous enough to ensure that we execute expenditure according to the way it has been approved by Parliament. And if you want to follow this as the media, as an investigative media, you should be following activities that go on in Parliament. There is a committee called the Planning and Budgeting Committee, which reviews performance of the budget, the national budget. And there are details therein which will show you how credible this government is in terms of executing the national budget. That in itself translates in the ability of making sure that you are able to meet what you plan for yourself. CDF has been disbursed exactly according to the way it has been appropriated. Tell me which one of the years government failed to disburse funds the way they had appropriated them. This is one thing we need to look at. The next thing I want to talk about is now what we've been able to do because of budget credibility. We've also stuck to our policy of encouraging production. We have not just been credible, but we have encouraged production in the mining sector. You've heard the president pronounce himself on several occasions on how he wants the mining sector to actually revamp this economy. It boils down to how you set your policies. The tax policies in this country have now become consistent. There is investor confidence in the policies that we are setting for ourselves. By that, we have seen investment coming in, especially the province where I come from, in Northwestern, where the mining sector is now booming because of good policies that are being set, that are being followed. You've seen road infrastructure. We are aware that the physical space had shrunk. So what do? Should we stop doing anything to actually improve our infrastructure? No, the economy can only improve if infrastructure improves. So we had to have a fallback on the PPP model so that we can as well still have big pieces of infrastructure being put in place whilst we are mending the economy into the path that we want it to be. Look at the Ndola-Lusaka dual carriageway project, which is now being executed, and many other road infrastructure projects in Northwestern. Very soon, the president will be going to commission the Mutanda-Kasempa-Kaoma Road, which is a PPP model project. And it's only through this that we can manage to put up these big pieces of infrastructure. Otherwise, the budget cannot allow. The budget cannot allow because the physical space has shrunk. Coming to micro projects that speak to the rural people like us from Zambezi, the CDF is the way to go. I will spend more time speaking about that because that's my area of jurisdiction. And I want to demonstrate clearly that these are practical measures that have been put in place which are actually practically benefiting the people. I have statistics here with me if you wish to get details of how much infrastructure we have put up in Zambezi East from the time the New Dawn administration took office. But I want to connect this with what I said from the word go. You would not achieve such milestones if you are not prudently managing an economy. The issues to do with debt restructuring, the issues to do with budget credibility, the issues to do with the relevant laws to be passed, and good governance are pertinent to ensure that all these milestones we have set for ourselves are achieved. Coming to the actual projects that we have actually achieved in Zambezi East through the CDF, I'm sure you are aware that we've been receiving quite an increase on the CDF year in, year out. And we plan for ourselves according to the challenges that we face in Zambezi East, because we know better what challenges we face. We've been able to put up classroom blocks where there were no classroom blocks. And I've heard sometimes people in the media downplay the fact that we are building classroom blocks in the whole country. Are you aware that this is the most demanded piece of infrastructure in the rural area. We've made a declaration, and our policy direction is to ensure that everyone goes to school. How will they go to school without infrastructure? So first things first, put up infrastructure, then you can implement your policy. So this is in line with the policy of the UPND to provide free education. And once educated, people will be civically informed. People will empower themselves, push themselves up through that route. That's why we emphasize and put actually a lot of importance towards this education. And as an implementing agent, as a member of parliament, I need to ensure that this is done, planning with the people whom I represent in parliament. We've also put up infrastructure like health centers, because we know that access to health facilities has been a challenge. Some people could walk as far as 25 kilometers or 30 kilometers to access health facilities. We have built health centers using the CDF in the past 4 years. And I'll give you statistics if you need them. We have also empowered our people to ensure that we create a social safety net against the challenges that they have actually encountered. You remember the issue of the drought? During the drought period, people had no food. We had to literally feed our people. But we did not just feed them, we created an avenue where they could do some work and earn some money in form of social cash transfer. And I have statistics here of people that have benefited from social cash transfer, including those we targeted. We were targeting 17,000 people in Zambezi East. And so far, we have actually been able to empower 14,000 people from social cash transfer in Zambezi East. And people did not even feel the impact of the drought with that initiative. And we have not only ended there, we have, through the CDF, empowered our people with skills. With skills so that they could do various micro projects within the constituencies. I have statistics here with me of how many people we have trained in terms of skills. We've trained 1,230 people in livelihood skills in Zambezi East. We have not just ended there, we have actually sponsored 1,359 young people who are going to boarding secondary schools using the CDF in Zambezi East. We have provided small loans to cooperatives and small businesses to the tune of 153 beneficiaries have gotten loans. And these are practical issues which you can follow up. I have youths who just used to be on the street. They even own shops now from this initiative. There are times when I've walked in their shop and I want to buy a drink. They wouldn't give me a free drink. Corruption there, but it's just the excitement that it brings. Where one youth said, look, out of the empowerment that you gave me, I have this shop. And I would like to sponsor the meeting with all the drinks that they need. Those are practical issues. Somebody's life has been brought from one stage to another using these initiatives. We have given grants to the tune of 339 clubs and societies. To be categorical, we have built 15 classroom blocks in Zambezi East. We've built 8 health facilities. We've procured 3,368 desks. Our target was to procure more than 6,000 desks. However, we had to juggle the ball because we made a very difficult decision over a period of 2 years, we had to procure the entire set of earth-moving equipment. As Zambezi East constituency, we have a Caterpillar motorized grader bought at the tune of more than 6 million from Barloworld. We have a roller compactor. We have a tipper. We have a water bowser. We also have an excavator. That is a complete set. And as we speak now, we are rehabilitating our own township roads and feeder roads using equipment bought from the CDF. As if that was not enough, when we planned for this in 2023 and 2024, CDF was enhanced with running costs for this kind of equipment. So for those of us who had that vision, we are now simply implementing, because we received an extra 3.2 million for us to use in terms of buying fuel and repair of these pieces of equipment. If you go to Zambezi right now, you will find these pieces of equipment on the road doing works. So these are practical issues. If anyone is downplaying the way UPND is running this country, go to a constituency like my constituency. You will find practical issues there which are happening. We have built 2 market shelters within Zambezi East constituency using the CDF. We have also dealt with 5 projects that faced a calamity in terms of disaster, and many other things that we have actually planned for ourselves. Of course, development is not an event, it's a process. What we just need to do is to trust the process and to propagate this good work that was started with good governance, focusing, perfect economic management, making tough decisions like that have been made at national level, which you can trace to the micro level at the constituency and the household. If you ask the people living in my constituency now, the difference between how they were in the previous government and how they are now, they'll tell you the difference, because their children are able to go to a classroom block, which they are able to see. Some of their children who are unemployed have been employed. We've recruited, in Zambezi district, we have recruited more than 640 teachers. More than 640 teachers for Zambezi district alone. And quite a number of health workers as well, whom I do not have a figure off cuff, but I can give it to you later on if you wished to get that. So it now resonates with the classroom blocks that we are building. The pupil who has been offered free education can walk into that classroom block, which had maybe one teacher covering the whole the whole establishment of classes. They now have a teacher for each class because of the good policies that we've put in place. So you see how these things actually resonate. There's a connection to whatever is being decided. And I would like to implore you, members of the press, to take keen interest in opening Parliament. It all starts from there. I want to take you through this. You see, we are elected in August. When we are elected in August, a parliamentary session, or let me say a parliament, this particular parliament is the 13th National Assembly. The 13th National Assembly started in August 2021, officially opened in September. When Parliament opens officially in September, that period, that meeting of Parliament from September to December is called the budget meeting. take keen interest in the budget meeting. The president comes to officially open that session of parliament. A session is a period of parliament for a period of almost 1 year, okay, which runs from September to around August. That's a session. So there are 5 sessions in a parliament. The one the president is coming to open is the 5th session of the 13th National Assembly. 13th, because this is the 13th National Assembly from the time we got independence. There have been 13 parliaments from the time we got independence. This is the 13th National Assembly. And when the president comes to open a session of parliament, it's just a ceremonial opening. It's not just a ceremonial opening where you attend and take stories to put in the newspaper. He is setting the tone, the direction in which the country will go in the next 1 year. He goes to provide policy direction of the country. And now, watch this. After the president has pronounced himself in terms of the policy direction, 2 weeks later, the Minister of Finance comes to give his budget speech. The estimates of revenue and expenditure for that particular fiscal year, for the fiscal year coming. And when he gives that, it speaks to the policy direction provided by the president. And I would like to implore you, if you are really a clever journalist, go and pick each and every presidential speech that was delivered from 2021 to date, and pick the budget speeches as well. Look at the activities of parliament also in between here. You will get your answer of how this country is being managed. The problem with us citizens is we do not want to have this information. We like listening to people making blanket statements and chanting slogans. Meaning they have failed this. And akanganyawa, meaning these people have failed. You know, that's a blanket statement. So between those who came in and put a public debt management act in place and those who could not even regulate borrowing, who has performed? So you could actually divide correctly by getting to the detail and speaking to people like us who are actually implementing these policies at the micro level, next to the doorstep of citizens. So when you're here in Lusaka and just listening to somebody waffling on social media, you would think that nothing is happening. But we want to set the record straight. And like I mentioned earlier, I would implore you to take keen interest in the pronouncements that the president makes. And if you want to account for the performance, get it from there. Even the fine-tuning and variations that are made in between, the president comes to give progress. Around, I think, second quarter of the year, he comes to give progress made towards values and principles. Because it's these values and principles that guide policy in the country, as enshrined in our Constitution. I think in Article 7, or is it Article 8 of the Constitution.